Welcome to Community Matters. This is your host, Becky Steinbruner, and I am honored to be here with you this afternoon until 4 p.m. today. I would like to start off by right away thanking Satellite Workspace and Digital Media Center, who hosts the building where we are. It is located at 325 SoCal Avenue in Santa Cruz. That's between Ocean Street and the beautiful San Lorenzo River. You can come here and look around on the second Wednesday of the month. It's free if you want to come check it out and use the space. It is a fabulous, clean, secure, quiet place for remote work and meetings. There are small meeting rooms that you can rent, and you can also check out media or equipment if you want to do video work, and they offer classes. We share this good space with community television, another gem in our community. So come by and check it out. And that is, again, Satellite Workspace and Digital Media Center at 325 SoCal Avenue. So today we are going to have a bit of a follow-up discussion with some people who have been very involved in Santa Cruz City's downtown expansion plan. We had an hour devoted to that last week in preparation for the Santa Cruz City Council's meeting that was held this past Tuesday evening. And so I invited these good people to come back on and share with us what happened and what is going to happen or not. And I hope that you will enjoy this, because it is, as some have said, one of the biggest decisions in the city of Santa Cruz in terms of land use and shaping what our town will look like. So I'm honored to have with me here in the studio Miss Gillian Greensite. Hello, Gillian.
Hello, Becky.
Oh, let's see. Yes. Can you say again? I want to make sure I've got you on.
Yes. Hello, Becky.
There we are. All right. Thank you very much. And I'm honored to have by phone Mr. Frank Barron. Hello, Frank.
Hey, Becky.
Hello. Thank you. And Keresha Durham may be joining us in a little bit by phone. The end of the school year for a teacher, as she is always hectic, but she's going to carve out some time to join us in a little while. Thank you, both of you, very much. So I'd like to have you each introduce yourselves and then talk a little bit about what happened Tuesday. And Gillian, let's start with you.
Yes, I'm Gillian Greensite. I've been a long time observer and activist in land use decisions in Santa Cruz, plus a lot of other issues that affect our town, and was involved in this issue, which I think you correctly describe as not probably, I'd say, is the biggest land use decision, certainly bigger in many ways than the post-earthquake decisions, and biggest since I've been here, since 1975. So I'll leave it at that and pass over to Frank, and maybe Frank would like to start off commentary on Tuesday night.
All right. Thank you, Gillian, and thank you for taking time to come to the studio and be on our program today, and for all you do. Frank, please introduce yourself, and if you'd like, continue on with your commentary on the project and the council's proceedings.
Sure. My name is Frank Barron. I'm a retired city planner. Been a city planner in the Monterey Bay area for about 30 years. And so I have a lot of experience in different, cities and counties in the region, including some at the city of Santa Cruz, mostly though at the county of Santa Cruz. And so I was involved with Measure M that didn't pass, but it was 2024, March of 2024. We had that on the ballot, and that would have required a vote of the people before height limits can be raised, and also would have bumped up the affordability level, or the rate of number of affordable units per development. And that didn't pass, but this project, the downtown plan expansion project, it was kind of the genesis of Measure M, and it's been kind of going through various iterations over the last several years. And so even though Measure M didn't happen, this project kept moving, and we, had chances. Some of our veterans of the Measure M and also of our downtown, our future, have been focusing on the process that has been going on with this plan. So the environmental review process under the California Environmental Quality Act has been one of the big aspects of that, and something that we have been able to get involved, to make comments on the environmental review document, the environmental impact report, EIR. And so that process got kind of rushed towards the end there. We thought it was going to be carrying on through the summer, and that we wouldn't be at this stage until late summer at the earliest, but they really were pushing it. And so they got it through the Planning Commission. Planning Commission made it, their recommendation to the City Council back in April to approve this, upzoning of the 29 acres south of Laurel. And then it came to the City Council last Tuesday, and they didn't. What they did is they took most of what the staff was recommending, but they made a major concession to us, which I'm quite happy about. They lowered the max height from 12 stories down to 8 stories on one of the components of the proposal, which was called the downtown density bonus. So we got a major concession. So for that, I'm very happy. We didn't get 100% of what we wanted. There were some other major things that that went the other way as far as we're concerned. But I'm pretty happy about getting that big one of getting the height lowered from 12 stories, the max height 12, down to 8.
Mm-hmm. And just for benefit of the listeners, can you tell us how tall are the buildings that we're seeing built in downtown Santa Cruz now?
About 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the tallest ones are about 8.
Yeah. Thank you. Gillian, do you want to comment?
I agree with Frank that having the height lowered is a very positive aspect of the decision making. However, there's a caveat to that, and that is that the developer, to cap the heights at 85 feet, would need to forego the state density bonus, which could raise the heights to 16 stories. That's just a ballpark figure. Could be a bit higher, could be a bit lower. So they would, to cap it at 85 feet, they would also need to use the city's downtown density bonus, which is a rather creative alternative offered to developers. And so that is a big if. One perspective could be, it's so expensive to go higher than 8 stories that this would be an easy alternative for the developer to choose. But the decision is in their hands. So while it is a very positive outcome, at least on that level, and for many people, heights are the most critical issue. I would argue there are many other issues involved. But the developer, the decision is in their hands. And we can't predict that. We can hope for the best. We can see that there are a lot of advantages for the developer, one of which is they would not have to provide the affordable, I think that's a term I tried to avoid because I'm sure Trump Tower is affordable to Trump, so it's an off-use word, but below market rate housing. They would not have to build those as part of the 85-foot housing developments in this 29 acres. They have options. They could build them in another location in the downtown area, including this area, or anywhere in the Greenbelt area. Sorry, not the Greenbelt. that was a major slip in the coastal zone. Hopefully, we're not in that nightmare future. Or they compare I seem to have lost.
In lieu?
Are you hearing me? Because my sound went dead in my earphones.
Oh, I can hear you.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, so I'll just keep talking.
And do you hear Frank and me?
I can hear Frank a little bit, yes.
Okay.
So they could build the affordable units, 20% of the total, somewhere else in the coastal zone or downtown, or they could pay an in lieu fee, $60 per square foot. Thank you, that's much better. Or dedicate land. So those alternatives may be so appealing that developers will choose to stay at 85 feet and choose one of those alternative ways of supplying affordable units. The positives are that the percentage of below market rate units is higher than if they chose the state density bonus, where there's almost no height limit. I mean, there's rationality. They couldn't be 120 stories, but they could be much higher than 85 feet. But the percentage of below market rate units, if they went that direction, for us, would be significantly lower, maybe 12, 13%, not 20. However, the categories of income levels to qualify for these apartments off-site or in lieu fees are not as deeply below market rate as if they were inclusionary units adopting the state density bonus. The moderate income is included. Now, I know a lot of this is, people's eyes glaze over, so I won't go into a lot of detail.
It's a huge issue, though.
But one sort of insight into it is currently, based on the area median income, an individual earning $93,000 a year qualifies for the low-income category, which is really, it's words. It's sort of misrepresentation, because my image of a low-income worker, my friends who work in the food industry, cooks, etc., they don't earn half of that.
Right.
And even with 2 full-time jobs, they're not getting close to 93,000. So there's a little bit of, I think, myth-making around all of this. We talk about providing workforce housing, but that's a pretty hollow term, and providing affordable housing. So I'm really concerned about what we're really providing for the city. So just circling around, I agree with Frank that that was definitely a positive outcome. But all the other, and I'll stop after this so Frank can pop in, or Kersha, all the other issues were not addressed. The environmental impact report was really not mentioned.
Not mentioned.
The impact of congestion that separates the lower west side, which, I live there, folks getting across town with this new neighborhood of perhaps 3,000 to 4,000 people living there, and all the commercial that comes with it, plus the entertainment district.
Yes.
I think will have a huge impact. That was not addressed accurately, or really at all.
At all.
So there's a lot of other impacts, I think. What would be the impact on our current downtown, on the current civic auditorium with this beautiful new entertainment center, aka the arena, new arena? What will that economic impact be on downtown? So I'll just finish by saying that I've been going to city council meetings since 1979. Been actively
Thank you.
Thank you for following issues and involved in them and trying, to encourage others to get involved. I've never seen an environmental impact report process so ignored, not addressed. And usually a council meeting, this was a packed hearing, and to his credit, the mayor runs a very good meeting. However, what goes along with that is the council does not really discuss or debate the issues. There's a motion made, and all we got after about 3 hours of public testimony was probably half an hour of council putting forward a complicated motion and a second and a unanimous vote, and then they each spoke in turn why they thought it was a good thing. Nobody asked a question, well, where might if the developer chooses housing off-site, where might that be? What if the developer starts to build the upscale units or homes, if you like to call them, in this area, but is slack on the other ones, the below market rate? How will that work? There were a lot of questions that council should have debated, and the procedure now. And this was one of Mayor Keeley's early directives to council, that council will get all their questions answered by staff before the meeting. So the council members know the answers to the questions, but they don't let the public know the answers to those questions, except one. Vice Mayor Kalantari Johnson did say to the planners, and the CEQA expert was there, Sabrina Teller from Sacramento, the question about whether the environmental impact report on that basis. So there was a brief answer, whether they should have studied the AB.
Yes,
the
1287.
1287, which gives 100% density bonus, whether that should have been studied in the EIR, which we said it should have been.
Surely so.
And it wasn't.
Right.
And the staff answer was that we don't need to do that. And that was the only question that the public heard an answer to, compared to the lots of questions that were posed, including my own. So I left feeling, yes, a significant, if the developer chooses a downtown density bonus, that's a significant capping of heights, although I'm amazed that we think that 85, of course, reality is, these days, that is the lower end of the possibilities. But I think there's a whole lot of other issues that were not addressed nor answered.
I agree with you. And although the council may get their answers to their questions behind closed doors from staff, as you said, the public is not privy to that information. And it is very few of the issues, as you say, brought up by the public were addressed. And even though they had the CEQA expert there, she didn't speak. Staff answered for her. I thought that was rather peculiar. For those of you who are just tuning in, you're listening to Community Matters. I'm your host, Becky Steinbruner. I have with me here in the studio Miss Gillian Greensite, and on the phone, Mr. Frank Barron. And we're talking about what happened at the Tuesday night Santa Cruz City Council meeting regarding the downtown expansion plan, that who knows what will bring to our community. Frank, do you want to comment on Jillian's assessment and add your own, please?
Sure, yeah, Jillian brings up some very good points. We have to keep in mind that what the baseline condition is out there. I mean, it's not what you see now. The baseline scenario or the baseline, reality is if there were no downtown expansion project, a lot of these lots would still get developed with very tall buildings. I mean, they are zoned such that they could get up to 14 or plus, 21 potentially stories tall already. That's that's allowed under the 3.5 floor area ratio that covers the entire area. So we have to keep that in mind. There still would be, even without this project, there would be thousands of new housing units being built down there eventually just under the existing current zoning. So that's something that we need to, keep in mind, that this is just a increment above that. It's going to allow for 1,600 housing units, or 16 to 1,800, I guess. So that we have to keep that in mind. And then, so what we did get with this new proposal was this incentive, this city downtown density bonus that would limit the heights and also boost up the number of affordable units theoretically, as Gillian pointed out. But I think we need to keep their feet to the fire and just keep track of how many affordable units are going to be produced. And that they're trying, the goal is to go above what they would get with the state density bonus, which is about 15%. So they want to get like a net 20% through this local downtown density bonus. So hopefully that's what will happen, and we'll see how it works out. Some of them could be in the building, or some could be outside the building in other locations, as Gillian mentioned, and we'll just have to keep track of how they do. We've been told that they wouldn't be able to build their project until they have those affordable units, being built at the same time, or at least a land dedicated to that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. And that makes me think about last year's Santa Cruz County Civil Grand Jury report. Gillian, do you want to talk a little bit about that, in that the city is not tracking any of this, just as an aside to our discussion here?
Thank you, Becky. Yes, I was on the Civil Grand Jury for last year, and one of the Civil Grand Jury's reports was titled Housing for Whom, because the city has, as part of the municipal code, a requirement that preference in the below market rate units, or inclusionary units they're called, which I think just means the developer is supposed to include them in the project, that the preference has to be given to local workers and local residents, I guess that's, anyway. And so we were interested, well, is that happening? And it took a year, deep investigation, and the answer was nobody knows, because the city does not keep track. They really have no idea whether the units are occupied by students, whether they're occupied by people who come from other parts of California. They do have to, it's pretty secure that they meet the income level requirements, because the Housing Authority documents that and requires tax returns, etc. So while there might be a few that don't, that wasn't the issue. The issue was, are they going, as they're required to be, to, when we say our local workers, we mean frequently people who now travel a couple of hours a day to get to their job in Santa Cruz. And if they could get one of these below market rate units, although the ones that are being built are a bit small for families.
Yes.
400 square feet. They seem more designed for students or single professionals. That's another discussion. But the city doesn't keep track. And worse, in our minds, they didn't want to.
They didn't
No,
want to.
they didn't want to. It wasn't as though, oh yes, that would be important, since it is a preference, and we keep talking about our workforce housing, why we're going to put on the ballot a workforce housing ballot measure.
That's happening right now.
Right. So the word workforce is one of those nice sounding words, but is there any substance behind it? And what we found was no. There's no substance behind it. So that was the history with that, and there's no resolution whether the same will happen. I'm gesturing to you because my sound has gone strange again.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's as though I'm speaking through 20 leagues under the sea. That's much better. Thank you. Well, no. I'll put up with it. Yeah, that's okay. So that's a question for these units as well. Now, the other thing that is, to me, is of concern, and I think it should be to others, let's say a developer, keeping it 85 feet, opts for the in-lieu fees, and the city puts that into their Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
Explain a little bit what in lieu means.
In lieu, French phrase, means instead of.
Yes.
So instead of building the housing, they can pay money to the city. That used to be the usual practice for the whole time since Measure O. In 1979, developers tended not to include the inclusionary housing. They paid money to the city instead. My guess is that even though a city planner said, well, that's really more expensive for them, my guess is most will opt for that rather than building them somewhere else.
Sure.
Now, the problem with that, the city does get money and puts it into their trust fund. If they use that money to leverage funds from the state or the federal government, then the city requirements, preferences for local workers does not apply.
Oh.
And that has not been talked about or addressed.
Oh.
So we could end up having this below market rate housing occupied either by students or by people who come from all over California. Now, again, if they're below market rate, they're meeting an income level, but I don't think we need to be the repository for the affordable housing situation that is affecting California. And it seems to me that we are actually building more than a lot of other places. If they were for local folks or our workers who have that big commute and then could come and live here and live near their workplace, I would not be here talking about it. I'd say, fantastic. But I see the hypocrisy of this going on around me as people talk big about using the jargon with no accountability. So I fear that may happen. And just finish with one thought. Frank is absolutely correct that if without the downtown density bonus or without all of this process, buildings could be in this area, the 29 acres, with the state density bonus and none of this downtown project, could be very tall. Here's my concern. I'd be curious to know what behind the scenes discussions have gone on encouraging the property owners in this 29 acre, not the businesses, they pay rent usually, maybe one or two own the land, but mostly they're paying rent, the small businesses that exist there now, they pay rent to the property owners. And this area has been pretty much the same for the 50 years I've lived here. Now, everybody to their own taste. I happen to like low-profile, funky places, like Firefly, like, so on.
Yes.
I don't like modern, upscale, etc. I totally respect that other people disagree with that. However, I like transparency. And given that the Warriors Arena is the driving force behind this downtown expansion plan, without the Warriors needing to have developers supporting them and they supporting developers, would the landowners here, the property owners, would they even think about putting up a bill? They might, some might, but I doubt that all of them would be on board. I think behind the scenes there has been economic development, the Warriors planning, meeting with the property owners and offering them a very lucrative return on their investment that they may or may not have thought to do so on their own. So I don't think it's as simple as, well, if we didn't do this, we would have the high rise anyway. This is a plan that sort of came out of nowhere. I went to the very first meeting when it was unveiled by planning, at the arena. And I looked at their charts and I saw, what is this 20-foot building? So I thought it was a mistake. And I asked the planner at the time, what's this? Oh, yes, we're planning 24. Where did that come from?
I remember seeing that too.
Yeah. So
20 stories, you mean, right?
20-story buildings, yes. Where did that come from? I don't remember council directing that as a policy. And it was before the state density bonus. And I remember one of the planners, I won't name names, but one of the planners said, wrote a comment in the paper, that this was exciting because it gave Santa Cruz a skyline. And I wrote a letter to the editor saying, Santa Cruz has a skyline.
Yes.
It's the mountains and the trees.
Yes.
So this is an urban imperative,
Yeah.
I think, being imposed, along with everything else. The inevitability now, the state housing laws have come down. There's a lot of pieces of this puzzle. I'm just curious about how much was driven by the impetus from the Santa Cruz Warriors. Very popular, nothing against them. I hope they have a lovely arena, but it comes with the rest.
Right.
Thank
And
you.
I happen to support the Warriors myself. I think, that they are a good thing for the city. I see that, that, when it started off at 20 stories, now we've got them down to 8. That's a pretty good accomplishment, I think.
If the 20 was realistic, unless it's like when you go in to ask for a raise and you ask for $1,000 a month more, knowing that that's totally unrealistic, and when you get 50, you think you've had a major victory. And let me be clear, I support the Warriors, and I think they've been an incredibly positive addition to the community. This is not talking against the Warriors. It's just there's a lot of other things that have come along with their presence.
And you're right. They did start at 20 and then 20 stories.
Right.
And I think it's even taller than that. It's like 220 feet, so like
Yes.
22 stories. But then they went down to 17 stories, and that was actually approved. They said, go ahead, go forth with 17 stories on one building, and then 3 or 4 other 15-story buildings are surrounding it. So that was the plan, that they were told to go forth and, start processing that plan. And so that's when Mayor Keeley came in, I think it was January of 23, and his first meeting, he said, no, let's lower it to 12 stories. That's still twice as tall as Anton Pacific. And then instead of just 4 tall buildings, it would have been anywhere, an unlimited number anywhere within the South of Laurel. So that, for me, was like, that was what got me riled up. And it's just like, okay, that's still way too big. 12 stories, twice as big as, Anton Pacific. And anyway, but that got them down to 8. So
Yeah.
I know it's not great, or it's 85 feet. That actually, is that the Anton Pacific is 85 feet, and it's only 6 stories. So if you can imagine, that's kind of the scale we're talking about, and it's quite a far cry from 17 or 20 stories or even 12 stories, I think.
Yeah.
So we have to realize that we did accomplish a lot
Yes.
in getting that. We didn't get everything we wanted. I mean, they're going to be doing more than what we thought was right, but at least we got that.
And let's hope that the developers do keep the cap of eight stories. My concern, I share with Gillian as well, how is that going to actually affect the amount of affordable housing that does get built locally?
Right.
I want
to.
to.
They're supposed to do the 20%. That's the thing. They're supposed to have a net of 20%. So if they do 100 units, they have to have 20 of them have to be below market rate.
There are 2 things happening right now. I want to read a little bit because we've been talking about the arena. And so I want to read a little bit about something that Mr. Rick Longinati sent out this morning to that effect. And then we have a caller on the line, actually 2 callers. So I'd like to get to the first caller after with your permission, my guess, after I read this bit about what Rick Longinati brought out this morning on the Our Downtown, Our Future web email discussion, because I think it's very good. In 2017, the city, Santa Cruz City, hired a consultant, Victus Advisors, to determine the financial feasibility of a new arena. The report concludes that revenue is, quote, not likely to produce a significant return on capital or a significant free cash flow for retirement of debt service, end quote. So the Warriors need some other revenue to subsidize the arena. This could explain why city staff and council pushed the changes in zoning south of Laurel in spite of AB 1287 that effectively doubled the density of 1,735 acres of Santa Cruz for housing development that includes 15% affordable units. And he cites places in the general plan table LU-2. It seems likely that the Warriors are planning a development along with the arena that would benefit from the zoning changes. This might include a hotel, now that hotels will be allowed on some blocks previously limited to housing, and building heights limits for hotels have been increased from 48 feet to 85 feet. Not long ago, the City Council set in motion the formation of a district that will use tax-deferred financing to support public improvements. The spending plan will be decided at the Council's meeting in August, but the staff report said that the funds could be used for a sports arena. There's a lot of local support for the Warriors Arena, but the public has not been informed that their tax dollars may be used to subsidize the Warriors. Do the Warriors need our tax money? So I thought that was a very thoughtful piece of information that Mr. Rick Longinati sent out for discussion this morning. Now I'd like to take, with your permission, Gillian and Frank, a caller. We have Judy Grunsta on the line. Let's see if we can get Judy on. Hello, Judy. Do you hear us?
Hi, yes, and thank you all for following up on this issue, and there will be a lot more in the future. I'm wondering, well, first of all, the rush of the draft, the final EIR, was pretty outrageous, 2 days to review that. That is unacceptable. So my second thought is the way the Scott Newsom so quickly made his motion after all those several hours of public comment, and then wham, then he makes his motion, and that made me think, well, is that a violation of the Brown Act? It seems like in order to absorb the subtleties of that lengthy motion, surely the City Council must have heard that being discussed among them.
It was a complicated motion,
meeting,
wasn't
right?
it? Yes.
Like, is that a violation of the Brown Act to discuss that? And thirdly, the Coastal Commission has to approve this. And what do you think the chances are of that? Thanks. I won't go on and on.
And we just lost Justin Cummings. We just lost him today.
Yep.
He got
What?
He got
Oh,
replaced.
really?
Oh, my goodness.
He's not on the Coastal Commission anymore. Replaced by a pro-development guy from King City.
Oh,
I heard that was in the works, possibly. Yeah.
Revis replaces.
Okay, but yeah.
Oh, it was. Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, what do you think the Coastal Commission? You think they'll have any objections, or they're all in the same pocket of?
They focus on Coastal Act related issues, so mostly coastal resources of the various types, and then also accessibility of moderate and lower income folks, so including housing. So they would be concerned with that, but I don't know if they would be as concerned about large buildings, unless they affect the coastal resources, like the flyway or something like that, with birds.
Yeah, I think one thing that they might be interested in, but I don't hold out much hope, is that the local coastal program for this area, the entry is that currently, but it's changed now because this downtown plan's takes it over, a downtown expansion plan, that 50% of housing built in the South of Laurel area shall be 2 or 3 bedrooms, because they wanted it to be more for families and lower income families, which is the realistic offering for our local workers. I'm only, my slice of people I know, particularly Spanish-speaking families and workers, is that they are families. They're not individuals, like they're not individual professionals, single people. They've got families, and they couldn't fit into even these below market rate 400 or 500 square feet units. But the Coastal Commission may or may not be interested in that. I hear that Mr. Rivas is very much in favour of all housing, and feels that it's another one of these sounds good philosophies that that mirrors the federal government. He says that people in the Central Valley can't afford, who are below income than the privileged people who live near the coast in Santa Cruz. They can't afford to live here. So any housing is good, because there's the assumption that it will be affordable to families who can't afford to live here. I challenge that. I think it's a myth. We are not building housing in that affordable to workers who live here. So anyway, we'll see with the Coastal Commission. I doubt that it will make much difference. And back to Ms. Grunstra's question, I must say that, that was unprecedented, that very complicated motion with no questions asked by anyone else on the council.
Not at all.
In fact, it was so complicated. I'm reasonably intelligent, and I walked out of the council meeting with a completely different idea. I didn't think they'd upzone, those lots.
Yeah, me too.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was, how could the council, maybe they were just relieved that somebody made a motion? I don't know.
They knew that was...
Right. Without any proof, I would never accuse anyone of violating the Brown Act. But it certainly didn't look good.
No. Frank, do you have a comment on that?
It was pretty rushed, and they just went boom, boom, boom. And if you didn't, have a intimate knowledge of the plan and read all the staff report and the EIR and everything, like I did, you wouldn't know what they were doing. But I understood what they were doing. Yeah. But it's basically upzoning of 3 blocks. The rest of the blocks were already at the 3.5 FAR. So the 3 blocks that they upzoned were where Wheelworks is now, and then where the Kaiser Arena is now, and then over by Depot Park, kind of where those vacant auto body shops are, and there's an auto body shop, and another one needs to be Hertz or something. You know what I'm talking about? Over kind of by the police station. Yeah. Anyway, that was at the other block. So those 3 blocks are what got upzoned or changed from high density residential in the case of the ones by the river, and then medium density residential in the case of the one by Depot Park. They got upzoned from those designations to regional visitor serving commercial with a 3.5 FAR. So now it kind of matches the rest of that area.
So that'll be very.
So where are they going to move those people who live there in a residential facility?
I don't know, but they said they have to do that. That's state law, and they would have to do that before it could be torn down.
Yes, I want to be positive and think they'll do the right thing by that residential facility. The other, what Frank said about upzoning that area near Depot Park, if that's the Swenson Calypso project, it answers my question: why has that been not built yet? That was approved a couple of years ago. In fact, we appealed it because they didn't do it. They did a traffic study on weekdays. And we appealed it only on that basis that, you didn't do an adequate traffic study. How about doing it on summer weekends and see what impact this development will have? Well, that was, I don't know how many stories, but now...
It was 6. I think they
six.
can go to 8 now.
Well,
they can probably go 2 more stories.
They can go to 8 or they can go to 16. It depends what they accept. Where they might like to go 16. So we can't, again, I think we have to say they have a choice of going to 8.
16 would be tough. I think they could maybe go to
14.
Maybe go to 14, something like that.
Yes.
But it depends on how they how they lay out the footprint of the building vis-a-vis the lot area.
That's right, but it gives the developer a lot more choices, that's for sure.
Frank, why do you say 16 stories would be tough for Swenson to accomplish?
Well, anywhere down there at the 3.5 FAR, if you just took up the entire lot, 3.5 FAR would be 3 stories plus a half additional story, so 4 stories. And if you add the 100% density bonus, the AB 1287 density bonus, that gets you to 7 stories if you take up the entire lot. But suppose you just take up half the lot. That would mean you can go up to 14 stories. But you'd have to do something else with that other half of the lot. And so it would be sort of wasted space. I mean, what would they put out there? They could put a swimming pool or maybe parking or something like that. Yeah. So, but they wouldn't be able to put a parking structure because that counts as structural. So they would have to put, it's like flat parking, one, like no story park, no building. Anyway, so that is what, if you just use half the lot, you can go up to 14. So if you use just like a third of the lot, say, then you can go up to 21. That's how that works. If you use a quarter of the lot, you can go up to 28 stories. But, that's, you're wasting 3/4 of your lot.
Yeah.
One of the incentives, though, for height, I mean, if we think of the logistics of this area or where it is, the higher you go, the better view you get. And these are...
More income.
Remember that all of these units now in this area are going to be expensive because the below market rate will... We've already covered that there are 3 options for them to not have to build them on site. So I would say, given where this 29 acres is located, it would be a dream place, second place for someone who has a lot of money to come in the summer. These will be very expensive, lucrative, sort of like the La Bahia, the new hotel. That's a luxury hotel. These will be luxury apartments, whatever size they are, because they're so close to, the beautiful stretch of the coastline, Monterey Bay. There'll be a fabulous entertainment center there. I think this is going to be... remember, for decades, a long time, Santa Cruz has competed with the other side of the bay, and Santa Cruz has been seen as the working class. I think Sandy Lydon says, we're the beer, they're the Chardonnay. This is going to turn that on its head.
Yeah.
With La Bahia coming online, the hotel, whatever they're calling it, the new hotel, that'll be opening soon. And this South of Laurel luxury apartments, we're going to see a radical class shift in the nature of Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And
keep in mind that the AB 1287 projects could be done now. I mean, it doesn't need a rezoning. That can already be done, and you're still going to get your sky penthouse, with potentially luxury apartments. Only 15% down on the lower floors or whatever, would have to be below market rate. And so that's still a possibility now. What I described about the 28 or 21 or 14-story buildings, that can be done now.
It's a possibility, Frank, but it does include 15% of folks who earn less money. This is 100% wealthy clientele. And
Well, you still have to provide the 20% below
Some-
market rate unit. So,
or you could pay an in lieu fee.
Yeah.
but we had assurances, right, that those would have to be, that they have to be built. They have to show that they're being built, right, before they even approve the market rate ones.
That's if they build them somewhere else. If they choose to offer
Just
the
pay money.
on the 27th of this month, Council is going to review how much, if they don't pay their in lieu fee, what are they going to, charge them as a penalty.
Right.
So there's a lot of ifs here, or a lot of still uncertainties. And again, I'll just go back to when you say that you're right, that they could build under the state density bonus. It could be built anyway. But I go back to what I think is a behind-the-scenes coordination with the Warriors Arena, the developers that they've got on board, the lucrative offers to the owners of the property. That's a plan. That's a coordinated plan. Without that, it would have been individual property owners who may not have thought of selling their property, and maybe Will Works could stay there, and so on. So I think a coordinated plan of business people, developers, and the Warriors bigwigs in the room together, and the city plan, economic development, that plan is much more of a certainty than, let's say, none of that happened. Would we have these tall buildings in this place?
Yeah.
We might, but I don't think it's quite as a certainty as it would happen anyway.
We have
Right, but
3
we
minutes
also
left.
we wouldn't have the downtown density bonus thing that keeps it at 8 stories either. So that's another positive of the plan.
Well, they could have. The city could all have offered that. There's always an offer. They could have made that alternative without this downtown expansion plan. They could have just, done it. And we forget, I know Becky's saying that we've got now 2 minutes.
We have 2 minutes. We have a caller that's been waiting for 26 minutes.
I'll be quiet.
Let me just give them a quick hello. They've been so patient. Hello, caller. What would you like to say in the next 30 seconds? Hello?
This is Keresha Durham. Can you hear me?
Keresha. Oh, hello. What do you want to say? I didn't know it was you.
I just want to add that the Warriors, their net worth is $8.8 billion. And I think it's egregious that we are subsidizing 180,000 square foot arena for the Warriors when they have a net worth of $8.8 billion.
Yeah.
So I agree that this is just one step of a corporate takeover of Seaside Corporation and the Warriors. And, in my research, over and over, it says that upzoning does not produce affordable housing, and it definitely doesn't produce any addition of housing, and it results in gentrification. So we're replacing some older, as Gillian said, funkier residential businesses, but small businesses, some that have been there for generations, like Lot Stereo. It's really sad to me to see higher end apartments, higher end, corporate chain retail. Do we really need 60,000 square feet more of retail when the downtown is there's so many? I counted 15 empty storefronts yesterday.
Yeah.
So we're going to get this higher end everything. It will just be, I think it's very disappointing, and that the corporate takeover is happening already, and that this meeting and the downtown plan expansion is just another huge show of that.
We'll have to have you all back here again. We're nearly out of time. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Becky.
And the new apartments, I looked into it. They're up to $6,000 a month in rent. They have lots of vacancies. They're offering $2,500 plus 2 months free right now to try to get people into there. So this is not housing for people who live in Santa Cruz now. This is housing to invite wealthy people to have their little, they'll come once a month to their little beach penthouse.
Yeah, or Airbnbs. I worry about that. Keresha, I'm so sorry I didn't bring you on earlier. It didn't identify your name. It just said ha. So I would have brought you in much more quickly, and I'm sorry. Thank you all very much. We are off the air now, but I want to thank you all very much for taking time to come in today and discuss this. It's an ongoing conversation, and I want to thank you all for your good work. So
Thanks, Becky.
Thanks, Becky.
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very much. Take care and have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you both
You too.
so much, all of you three.
Thanks.
Bye.
Becky.
Thank you. Bye. And my next guest is calling in now, so I'm going to thank you. Yes, thank you so
Good to see
much.
you.
Good to see you.
Thank
Take
you.
care. You're very welcome. Enjoy.
That was fun.
Hello, caller. Can you hear
Hello?
me? Hello?
Hello?
Is this Frank?
This is?
Oh, okay. I'd called you back. I'm sorry. I'm gonna drop you here now. Thank you, Frank.
Okay, no worries. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Becky, can you hear me? Becky, can you hear
Hello.
me?
Let's
Becky,
see.
this is Diane.
Diane. Let's see. I
Just in
think.
case.
Are you? Is your number 234-8204?
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you. I do hear you. Thank you, Diane. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your calling in. I'm going to just get rid of these others.
Yeah, take your
And
time.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Woo, that was a
Oh.
good show.
Gosh. Yeah, who knows what's going to happen downtown Santa Cruz? It's
All of Santa Cruz.
all of
Boy.
Santa Cruz, indeed. Indeed. Well, Diane, thank you so much for your hard work.
Oh, thank you, sweetie. It's all of us, but yay.
And I'm hoping that Nina will be able to call in too.
Yeah, I got the feeling she wasn't planning on it,
Okay.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we can go until about 3:35 or so, if that's all right with you. And then my next guest,
Sure.
Kris Kirby, will be calling in at about that point. And you're welcome to stay on. Now, do you know, I have not seen, is the Stop Lithium BESS going to be meeting Saturday, tomorrow morning?
Yes, it'll be from 1 to 3
Okay.
at the library in Napcot.
And is the general public allowed to, encouraged to attend that?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to make sure we talk about that. And any of your assessments regarding how the meeting went and information gathering, things like that. You worked so hard. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. That sounds good to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I did see, and I have here before me, a copy. Well, I have two things. I have a copy of the Facebook page, so I have some of that information. But I also have a copy of the Lookout Santa Cruz article, Not in My Backyard, which is an interesting article.
Yeah, was that just current? Was that the one that was just put out?
Yes.
Or was that the one that was
May 14th.
yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read it per se, but I heard from Nina, just she had to have something redone at the bottom,
Yes.
that she had gotten wrong. And
Yeah, and they do show that correction to
exactly.
clarify that the LFP battery fires in Germany and China were LFP, while those in Australia and England involved lithium-ion batteries. So we can talk a little bit about this article on the program, and thank you again for all you do. We've got about 45 seconds before we go live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that article, I just, I know she's giving her own interpretation. Nina did not have very high marks to say about her. That her journalism isn't, it's not investigating. I don't know. She just wasn't happy with her, writing, and the story she told. Honestly, I didn't read it, so I can't really comment on it too much. And I always hope that she'll, coming out to the property, which she did, to get a fuller look at it. But still, that's hard, for people who may not be indulged in it the way we have,
right?
As to what our thoughts are.
Yeah, we're going to be on the air here in 5 seconds, so stay tuned.
Okay.
Welcome back to Community Matters. I'm your host for the next hour. My name is Becky Steinbrunner, and I'm honored to share this next hour with you and my guest, Diane Dutton-Jones, who is representing the group Stop Lithium BESS, BESS, in Santa Cruz County. BESS is an acronym for Battery Energy Storage System. And I wanted to bring on these good folks. We may be joined by others in the group because there was an excellent town hall public meeting that this group, grassroots group, pulled together last Monday, this May 12th, at Amesti School in Watsonville for the purpose of informing the people who live and work near a proposed lithium battery energy storage system facility in Watsonville on 90 Minto Road. That's off of Green Valley. The people there have not known at all about it because the county and the developer, the applicant, have not made that information available. There was one town hall meeting that the developer was required to hold prior to submitting the application. That happened on December 12th of 2024, a very busy time for many people. And add to that the fact that it was the postcards announcing it were only sent out to a very small sphere of people. People who live right next door to it did not receive it. And also there was no time given on the card of when the meeting was going to be held. So the supervisor for this district is Mr. Felipe Hernandez. That's the 4th district, but it is very close to the 2nd district, who is represented by Supervisor Kim DeSerpa, who also is in the district, oversees the district where another one of these proposed facilities is planned, and that is in Aptos on Freedom Boulevard near Aptos High School. And then the third place that the county has identified is on Paul Sweet Road, very close to Dominican Hospital. So nobody really knows about all of this, and nobody really would have paid attention had it not been for the Vistra battery fire in Moss Landing in January. That woke us all up to the hazards of lithium battery technology. So this good group of grassroots people, of which Diane is part, is called Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County. And they are working very hard to make sure that people know about it and speak up and know how to get the ear of their elected representatives. So with that bit of information, I'd like to first, Diane, thank you for joining us by phone here this afternoon. Would you please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about how you became aware of all of this?
Yes. Hi, thank you, Becky, for having me on. My name is Diane. I've been living out in South County, just near Monte Vista Christian School for about 42 years now. And I love being out in the rural part of Santa Cruz County. I love to garden. I love, taking care of the land. I just like the quiet and everything. And it really was the wake-up call of Moss Landing's fire to awaken me to really what was going on around us. And I smelled the plume come my way. immediately after that, just trying to find out information. What happened? What was that smell? And to find out that we had one of the world's largest lithium battery factories, about 15 or so miles as the crow flies from me, it was a wake-up call. And from that point on, it just became more and more aware of like what's going on, around us. And then to know that they had the county had already started planning, one for Minto Road, which from my home to there is probably less than 2 miles away, maybe 1.5. So again, I got very concerned because I don't want this land to become toxic, and I don't want to have to leave my home and, worry about everything that's growing there. And so I, along with a lot of other of my friends in the county, became concerned, and we started to mobilize ourselves, creating yard signs with information about just being aware of the dangers that we think of the toxic lithium battery, and started creating information sheets as to what we were learning about this, and the toxic heavy metals that accompany a fire like that. So from there, we've just connected with a lot of other people, and like you say, the two main site groups that I've been working with is the first one was the one you mentioned, Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County, and then another working group is called Safe Clean Energy for California, which meets in SoCal, and it truly is a countywide concern. They focus on Minto. We've been focusing on Minto Road because the application process is so much further along. It really is in the works, and so this is the area that we have definitely concentrated on. And like you said, it was unknown to a lot of people who live right next door to this project.
Yeah,
so
indeed. And I think what is concerning to many is that the county supervisors are not talking about it at the Board of Supervisor meetings. They are not holding town hall meetings about it in the areas where these projects are being planned and or in application for permitting. So the group is, both groups are working for the same thing. No one is opposed to storing energy so that the area can use solar and wind energy, but it is the lithium piece that is unacceptable in the hazards and the risk to the people in the environment. Is that how you see it too, Diane?
That's correct. Lithium by now has gotten such a bad track record. I mean, not only in California, but as far as throughout the world, you can go online and read about lithium battery storage sites or lithium, that have caught on fire, and they really are impossible to put out. They say they have ways to mitigate it, but not really. And it's that's even like so much of a concern. It's like, how could an industry move ahead with something that has that kind of that just has that missing piece to it? And lithium is not even environmental in our minds. It's mined by in the Congo. It's they're looking at lithium mines now up in the Oregon area. Lithium is a dense mineral, and it is the sweetheart of the industry. They've been using it, they like using it, and they use it, and everyone that we learn about this now, it is in our cell phones, it is in our laptops, in our computers, and in cars. But what we're actually talking about is grid scale. We're talking large industrial grid scale use of lithium. And in doing that size of a project, they're nestling them into communities right in our neighborhoods, right near our schools, right near our hospitals. And what we found with Moss Landing is the air goes everywhere.
It does not stay put. And so we all become downwinders in this incident. It doesn't matter if it's down in South County or up in, near Dominican. It's going to affect our community as a whole. And that just is not acceptable to us.
Yes.
And we have been left off out of the discussion, away, off the table. And that is another thing that just seems really unfortunate, because we have concerns that they're not willing to listen to right now. They just seem like they've been, engaged with these battery companies and the new lease, and they've been whining and dining each other and planning and and moving forward without any input from the community. And like you say, if Moss Landing hadn't burned, we probably would have been even further behind on knowing what the county's plans were for this area and our county. Yeah,
I agree. One of the things that I really loved about the meeting Monday evening at Amesti School was that there was a concerted effort to translate everything said and posted on the PowerPoint into Spanish. And there were a number of Spanish speakers there that I think very much appreciated that, because talk about being left out of the room. They do not have anyone at this point really as their advocate. I remember after 2 days after the Moss Landing fire began, I was going through the Watsonville area, and the smoke plume was still over that area, and yet there were the farm workers out in the fields. And did they even know? Did they even know? So I was very, very happy that the Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County group made a tremendous effort to make sure that the Spanish-speaking attendees understood and had information. And all of the letters that were on the table, do you want to talk about that? The action items that were available for people at the meeting?
Yes, definitely. We have gone to great lengths, to make all of our information bilingual. We know that is the key to really pulling our community together and working harder together. And the action items that we always are asking people to do is to speak to your board of supervisor. Call them, Zoom call, attend the board of supervisor meetings. And calling in is very simple. It just takes some time. But, we want the Board of Supervisors to know that there's a loud voice. The community has something to say, and we want them to hear it. And saying that we don't want lithium. We're willing to go with battery storage, but we don't want lithium. We're asking them to find a safe battery and something that's not going to burn, that's going to be not going to burn on us and not going to create the toxic metals and all that will land around us. So always what we ask for also is a moratorium. And the moratorium is asking the Board of Supervisors just to put a stop it for now. Let's research the other batteries that are out there, because there are other batteries like sodium batteries that are being produced and coming online, and they are safer, and they use sodium instead of lithium, and that to us is exciting. It may not level up to what the industry likes for the kind of the power that lithium gives it, but this battery technology keeps evolving, and evolving, and they're getting better and better and better. And I personally, I don't want us in Santa Cruz County to get stuck with with the lithium batteries that are almost going to go out of style. I hope that they'll move on to a different generation of battery out there. And already big data centers are, the industry is recognizing that they don't want the lithium fires. They don't want that. They can't afford that. And they are they are moving on to different batteries like the sodium batteries. So we're asking for a moratorium so that we can have time to look for the right, the right battery. And and if it takes a year, so be it. If it takes 3 years, so be it. We always are asking them, what's the rush? We got to get this right, because if we don't, we're putting our entire county at risk. I mean, we have $1 billion ag industry out there.
Yeah.
The food goes all over the world. We try and eat organic. We have one of the biggest organic, contingencies of farms in our county.
Yes.
We're special. It's a precious resource, and we have everything here. I mean, that's the beauty of our county. We just, it's got water, it's got land, it's got the ocean, it's got its great ecology, that we want to preserve, and we have worked so hard to preserve, the environment over the decades. And then to have this kind of situation come in where, in order to save the environment, we're going to actually put something that could really injure the environment, in our neighborhoods and around our communities, we're all shaking our heads going, no, we don't want this.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much the feedback that, every time we pass out literature, people are like, oh, no way, no, we don't want this.
Yeah.
And that's the sentiment. And, we have to let the board and the county know that this is important enough to us to intervene and say, we need to be at the table. We need to work with this.
Yeah.
So, so besides getting a hold of your board of supervisors, you keep pressure on them and just say no lithium battery energy storage sites in Santa Cruz County. It's a very simple ask. And
no lithium.
Right, I know. We've always asked for a technical advisory committee or citizens oversight, because right now the industry is the county is getting most of their information from the industry.
Yes.
This county is trying to write an ordinance, and an ordinance would sort of give, the structure to having these battery energy storage sites in our county. And, this whole technology is so new that a lot of counties, including ours, does not have an ordinance in place. Things just haven't been thought out. We have really not had to deal. The fire, departments have never had to deal with these kind of incidents before, where they just can't put out a fire.
Right.
They mainly ask people to evacuate, and then they wait.
Or
and
to
they
go in
let
their
the fire burn.
houses and close the windows and doors. How ludicrous is that?
Right.
Yes.
Right. And I know. You're right.
Well, and then there's the other issue. What about the animals, wild animals, and what about people's livestock? I happened to be at a visit with my veterinarian on Monday, right before the meeting, at a Mesty school with one of our goats, and I was talking with him because he lives in Prunedale, and I was talking with him about the battery fire, and he said he didn't notice anything but himself and his family, but he said there was an unusually high number of ruminant animals that aborted their young right after the battery fire. And it is likely to be part of a study that he thinks is going to be done by UC Davis. I thought that was interesting because, the county can tell us, go in your house, close your windows and doors, which is stupid in my mind anyway. No home is airtight, and in fact, newer construction, per a man who teaches building construction at Cabrillo College, newer construction is designed to breathe, and they have a certain number of air exchanges, especially commercial buildings. So, there's a lot more to this that I feel is being just swept under the rug regarding what happened at Moss Landing. Listeners, you really should, I encourage you to check out Never Again Moss Landing website. There is a lot of very good information there with that group. And Nina, you are aware of, can you help the listeners find information on how to link up with Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County?
It's a Facebook page, and if you even just start, putting it in as a search, stop lithium, and pretty soon Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County will pop up. And remember, BESS is an acronym for Battery Energy Storage Sites, and that's BESS. And really anything that you put in about lithium, Santa Cruz County, you will start to see the different organizations that are out there. And Becky mentioned Never Again Moss Landing. I mean, they were the flagship of all this. They've lived it. They've learned from it. They have a great county supervisor, Glenn Church. There's so much great information, even with people who got ill, what people had to do through evacuation, while they were living there, and working there. It's a really great resource, and we can all keep learning from it because it's active. The whole site is still active and working. And so we should pay close attention to that because we can learn a lot from where they have been in the journey and where they are, because it's going to, if we do nothing, it's going to be our future.
Exactly.
But we can shortcut and learn from it. Yeah.
And that plume did not stay at the county border. It came over into Santa Cruz County, and it is disturbing to me that Santa Cruz County leadership is not really willing to pay attention to that. Monterey County is now launching secondary sampling of soil and water, and will post it immediately on the county's website when they have results. Santa Cruz County did one initial pass with soil and water. Supervisor Manu Koenig had to fight to get that, with no other supervisors supporting him initially. And there's really nothing on the Santa Cruz County website to even see where that result is, or what they found, and no place to register any health of impacts that have been noted since the Vistra fire in Moss Landing. Now, Nina, the Stop Lithium BESS in Santa Cruz County meets regularly, and I think you're meeting tomorrow. Is that correct? People could join you there?
Yeah, we do. The meeting is scheduled for the first and third Saturdays of the month, and tomorrow it will be happening at the Aptos Library. They have 2 community rooms there, so we'll be in either one of those. And the time is from 1 to 3. So tomorrow, Saturday, from 1 to 3. And I just want to pick up on what you just said about our county not really, I think our county leaders really missed a big opportunity when that fire happened, because they really did put up their blinders and say, oh, well, that happened in Monterey County. And it would have been the perfect opportunity for us to look at that incident and see how we could learn from it. We didn't even have our health officials up and running about people coming in with sinus problems or bloody noses, or their chest is having breathing problems and their tongue tastes like metal. There was no awareness around, hey, we've got an alert, we just had a big battery fire, what are the chemicals that we should be looking out for, what kind of symptoms are out there. We really let ourselves down and missed a big opportunity to really have learned from this. I must have spent a couple weeks after that fire wondering about the agricultural lands around us. East Lake Organic or Lakeside Organic is big out here. And I called them up and I said, what are you guys doing? Are you testing the soil? I mean, can you tell us, how it is? We're concerned. We're concerned about growing our own food too. And, he said that at the time of the fire, a lot of their fields were fallow, which is true. And they grew it in other areas and brought it in, like from way outside the
Arizona
the
and
area.
Mexico.
Yes. And then I said, well, that's not primarily my concern. My concern now is that it has landed on the soil. Any toxic residue has landed there, and it's going to be the kale that you're growing this summer or the strawberries that are being produced.
Right.
It's all that food that's going to be grown and eaten from, spring on forward that is concerning to me. And I really wonder if they'll look at the plants, and maybe this is something we should do, is take some produce and have it tested just for our own peace of mind. that way, because a lot of people I know have refused to eat any food from grown in Santa Cruz County, or even as Hollister, San Juan Bautista, Castroville. It's sort of become this, forbidden food. And I think that the farmers have been in an awkward position because, they don't want to be, pointed at and said, we can't eat your food, but we're already not eating their food. And I just wish that my hope is that somewhere down the road, they will at least support a moratorium until something safe can be found. We're not asking them to, expose everything or, whatever they don't want to do right now to protect themselves. We just really want some support in this county to make sure that whatever happens on Minto Road, won't be a Moss Landing, because we will end up being the Elkhorn Slough of that area of Minto Road. Yeah. And their land is all around it.
Right.
So,
and while they say that, the design for the 90 Minto Road project is safer because it will be in containers, over 300 storage containers full of lithium batteries is not that much different. I mean, it's not a big open space warehouse like was the situation in Moss Landing with the Vista fire, but those containers can overheat with thermal runaway. They can off-gas, and that's why in the plan, I've read through the plan risk assessment that New Leaf Energy has already filed with the county, that they cannot have the site, have people on the site because of the high incidence of carcinogens that the off-gassing would cause. So it will all be radio controlled. But what about the people that live right next to it? And it's just, we cannot have this. And Diane, as you have said, what I see happening is New Leaf is the one that is telling the planning staff what to write down to become our county's new ordinance for these kinds of facilities, and we cannot have that. We must have the residents at the table. We must have professionals from alternative battery technologies there, and regulatory specialists there, environmental specialists that have an interest in the broader health and well-being of the people and the environment. So that ordinance is due to come before the County Board of Supervisors September 9th, but rest assured it is quickly being written right now. And we want a seat at the table. So that's what people have to speak up for and demand, along with a moratorium on lithium battery energy storage, and town hall meetings by our elected officials need to be happening right now. Diane, I want to thank you and Nina Adino for the tremendous amount of work and expense that you've gone to do all the sign work, the flyers, provide insurance so you can have the meetings at a public place. I mean, thank you so much. So my next guest is calling in. I just want to, one more time, please let us know how people can get involved.
Well, for sure, come to tomorrow's meeting at the library in Aptos from 1 to 3. And we're a community trying to really gather some steam. We need everybody, and everybody's well-connected and very smart. So let's bring all that talent and connection together and really, make some headway here. So start by coming tomorrow from 1 to 3 in Aptos, and on Monday night at the Porter Library in Soquel from 6:30 to 9.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you for your good work, and thank you for taking time to call in today.
Thank you, Tim.
All right. Take good care of yourself. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So that's Diane Dutton-Jones from Watsonville, who lives very close and downwind of this project being proposed for 90 Minto Road off of Green Valley, next to College Lake and next to the large PG&E substation that would have over 300 storage containers filled with lithium batteries. And Those are known for thermal runaway. And when they burn, it is a disaster. So get involved. Look up Stop Lithium BESS, BESS, in Santa Cruz County. Attend the meeting tomorrow at the Aptos Library from 1 to 3. And Monday night is the other group working, Clean, Safe Energy for California. That'll be Monday night at the Porter Memorial Library in SoCal Village at 6:30. All right, now I want to switch topics here and welcome my second guest for this hour, Kris Kirby. Hello, Kris. Can you hear me?
I can. Hi, Becky. How are you?
Oh, hello. It's wonderful to hear you. For those of you... For those of you listening, Kris Kirby was a longtime resident of Santa Cruz County, a California native, and decided with her family to just get out of California and go to Grants Pass, Oregon, start a new life. And Kris, many people are contemplating leaving California, and I really appreciate you coming on a regular basis here, filling us in, how you're doing, what it's like, and now you have your own radio show too, back here on Santa Cruz Voice. So please give us an introduction and tell us how you are.
Oh, thank you. I'm very good. We, in August, decided to sell our house there and move up here. We found the perfect house and property, and which is a lot of work. It's almost 7 acres, but we're getting it handled. There's always something going on. We love it up here. I'm still on Aptosia and the Get Real Santa Cruz and Lookout Santa Cruz, so I see what's going on down there. And I'll tell you, I do not miss any of it. I miss my friends like you, Becky, but I don't miss the activity. I don't miss the traffic. I don't miss all the BS. I hear the buildings down in Santa Cruz are unbelievably not Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
I see people saying, well, I want to go to wherever, but I got to, judge it at the right time of the day. There's none of that here. I was going somewhere with a friend yesterday, and she says, well, there's going to be afternoon traffic. I said, you're talking about half a mile of a few lights that are you have to wait through. That's nothing compared to what we had to deal with down there. So it's a different life. I don't know. The weather's changing. I hear it's gonna get hot again real soon, and it gets hot up here. We have cottonwood. We live on the Rogue River. We bought a beautiful property. We have 850 feet of the length of the Rogue River, and there's cottonwoods, which are trees. And just a few days ago, this white cotton stuff started blowing all over everywhere. I've never experienced anything like it. So if you're outside, Mark said he inhaled one earlier because you're walking and it looks like it's snowing. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Wow. Well,
we had one real big one fall. We had some trees cut down because this property has a lot of trees. We have a lot of lawn, probably a good 2 acres of lawn, maybe more. And we have weekly gardeners, thank goodness. But we cut some trees down, and the next week a huge one fell, and that was an experience. It took out some just wire fencing, nothing just horrible, but that was just quite an experience. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's just different. The whole thing is just different, and I love that it's different.
Yeah, what I was thinking about as you were talking and earlier today is the stress of traffic and the tension in the community and all of that. It sounds like has melted away from your life.
It has.
Have you noticed an improvement in your health and well-being by moving away?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm also not working now, so that's nice. I mean, I always have things to do. It's not like I'm sitting around twiddling my thumbs, but I just, as you know, we got chickens, and Mark's been working on a coop, and we just put them out this morning in their fully fenced area. So they're now touching dirt for the first time, and that's been interesting. But me with chickens is really kind of humorous. If some people know of Grants Pass for the Supreme Court ruling last June on the homeless problem, and it's gotten bad again. And our governor here is as bad as Newsom. I mean, she's horrible. She did this SB 3115, I think it is, after that Supreme Court hearing, and now the homeless, 5 of them say they're disabled, and they've sued Grants Pass to provide them with a disability paved area where they can camp out. So the homeless have come to a head again. It's ugly. It's not good. It's all downtown. They're trying to, they're going to have a big meeting Monday with the city manager and the attorney, explain what the plan is. But they're trying to lease some land a little bit out of town and put them there and get them clean. There's going to be, we have 80 NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations, to help these people, which is part of the problem because they're all offering them needles and drugs and, whatever, tents, and they're making their lives a lot easier, phones and cards with money, and so it's not a good thing. So it's really not good right now. Where we live, we don't really have to deal with it because we're out of town the other way. Mm-hmm. But it is, it's got the community up in arms for sure. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, people don't want to. This is a very blue-collar community, and it's everybody works hard for their money. Mm-hmm. So there are not a lot of rich people, and these people don't want to be paying any more than they have to for taxes and all that. They're taxed enough. There is no sales tax, though. That is the best, I will say that.
That's a beautiful thing, and I hope that never goes away.
Our gas is about $3.50 a gallon, and diesel, I think, $3.52 at Fred Meyer's, which is pretty cheap.
Wow.
So that part of it is nice. This last weekend, my girlfriend Lisa and I went and helped build beds for this program called Sleep Heavenly Sleep. We sanded these boards for 3 hours with a palm sander, and they make them into, they look like pallet beds, but they're a little bit more than that. Then they stain them, and we sanded all the rough edges off, and we made 35 beds for children. So they say no child will sleep on the floor in this community.
Oh, thank you.
So that, it was it's a nationwide group. I think it would be a fun thing to start there. It was really, we did it out at the fairgrounds, and there was probably 50 volunteers, and it was really nice. Then they have another thing in September where we can people can donate sheets and comforters and like the next step to the beds.
Wow! And where do these beds go? Are they
for people that don't have money or don't have whatever resources, and they need beds for their children? They apply to this group, and then they just give them a full bed with mattress and comforter and everything.
Wow, that's very nice. Very nice.
It was so good to do it. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's for families that are poor, that maybe have a house to live in, a place to live, but
they would have a place to live. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And there's, like I said, there's 80 NGOs, the non-government organizations, nonprofits that help. There's a lot of help for those kind of people.
For the poor as well as the homeless. I mean.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. They prefer to help the homeless and the moms and the veterans and those people.
80 nonprofits, and the population of Grants Pass is about the same as Watsonville, if I remember correctly.
Right, it's about 40,000.
Well, that's amazing.
So a lot of people that have lived here forever are saying that this town's just gone to not such a good spot right now because of the homeless, and they're like, where are we going to move to? And I'm like, no, we're not moving. I just got here. I really enjoy it here. The people are so kind. Everyone's thankful. Everyone wishes you to have a good day. people help each other. It's really, it's very, very different. We noticed it the first week we were here, how
Nice.
different people are.
Yeah.
So
A lot more relaxed, a lot more connected to each other, it sounds like.
yeah, I've made quite a few good friends. We're always doing things. It's good. I've also, like the city council, and we have commissioners instead of supervisors here. We know them all. We know our state representatives only because I've been involved with the Republican committee here. But it's just very different. We live on the Rogue River, and there's boats. I'm going to think, what are they called? That you can get. What? Oh, it's called Hellgate because they go through the Hellgate Canyon quite a few miles down from here. But they're picking up people. I mean, like today I've probably seen 4 boats go by, and it's just Friday. So loaded with people in life jackets, and they go down. They do dinners down there, and so that's interesting to just sit here on our property and see the people going by on the boats.
So that's happening now this weekend?
It's happening every day.
Every day?
They might take as the summer comes on, it'll be every day.
Oh, so it's sort of a tourist attraction. People.
Yeah, look up Hellgate boats or Hellgate excursions or something, and you can see what I'm talking about.
Oh.
We had done it like 20 years ago, and we thought, wow, wouldn't it be nice to live in those houses? These beautiful houses with beautiful lawns down to the river, and now we're one of them.
Well,
funny.
Good that you wish for that because it came true.
Yeah, well, I would have never guessed back then, but yeah, it's kind of funny how that happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just love the community feel about things.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice.
Yeah. And it sounds like, a lot of people, I think one of the things, and maybe you can talk about this, one of the things that is the barrier for people to leave is they would be pulling up and leaving their friends and their connections behind. And I know that was a consideration for you, but how was that for you, and how is it now? It sounds like you're very well connected up there.
Yes, and that has helped. We put an offer in on this house the same day, and they accepted it. And we both looked at each other like, "Oh my God, this is really happening!" And we had a 45-day close, and I mean, we had to bust our butts.
I know you did.
It was hard. It was not fun, and we made it happen. And then leaving my friend, it's hard. But like somebody's coming up this weekend. I've had a lot of visitors. If anybody knows me and wants to, my cell phone number is the same. Come up and stay with us. It's really an amazing place. So property is really amazing, and that helps.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just happened. I mean, you still talk. You can FaceTime.
Yeah.
Like my dear friend Vivica, and I miss her dearly. And you and there's a handful of people I definitely miss, but I stay in touch with everybody.
Yeah.
It's not that far away.
Yeah. And now you've got the Elephant in the Room program back. Does that help you feel connected here?
We've only done one, and it was recorded because, of course, you and me and technology.
You're much better at it.
No. So Kristen and I recorded it, and then Bill played it, but we'll be back at the end of the last Wednesday of every month. She's actually in Tahiti right now, vacationing. Both their dads died within a month and a half of each other, so they said we need a vacation just from all this. So they're enjoying themselves. So once she gets back, we'll get on a regular schedule and back to it.
Yeah, and I also know that the reason you and your family were there in Grants Pass was because you had already a family member, and that member also passed away. So
No. Mark's dad has not died.
What?
No, he hasn't died. He's ornery. I'll give him that, but no, he's still good. He's 81. He lives on the other side of town. Mark sees him more often than I do. We disagree politically, and he's kind of not very nice about it, so I just kind of stare away from him.
Okay.
I don't know why you thought that. Probably because I told you about Kristen's dad.
I thought it was your family, so my misunderstanding.
No.
Well,
no.
I think I might have sent you a sympathy card. So.
You did not.
Oh.
Don't do it.
Okay. Maybe that was a dream.
Oh, you're so funny. My son Matt sold his house and moved up here.
Yeah.
And he has got a full-time job working as a project manager for a company that does woodwork inside, like millwork stuff. And they actually do a lot of stuff in the Bay Area. So he's good. He likes his job. It's a 9-minute commute. And when you think, oh, it's 9 minutes, it's 9 minutes every day. There's no change because there's no traffic.
Wow, that's nice. So the idea then that a barrier to moving out of California is that it would be hard to find a job isn't necessarily true either.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, he's 38 years old, so yeah, it wasn't hard. It was his first interview, and they hired him right away, so that was good. My husband is still working remotely for the company he worked for down there, so he is working every day, and I am just a lady of leisure.
Oh, but busy all the time.
Yes. I went to the commissioners meeting yesterday. It's just very interesting. In a new community, and I like not the challenge, just I like learning about new things and what's going on here.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
So
now
it's good.
The last time we talked, there was an issue about changing the fire risk maps or insurance or something. That's certainly a big issue here. Do you have any news for us what Oregon is doing?
Yeah. Well, they took back the whole map thing because it was such a bunch of baloney. It was a senator down in Ashland who lives in Ashland, and we actually found his home address, and one of our guys went and droned his house, and his house was in the blue perfect area, and his house looked worse than ours. I mean, he has bushes and all this trees and overgrowth. And he put himself in the good area, so that's not the deciding factor, but it just showed what a bunch of baloney it was. So the governor said, "Oh no, I don't think this is a good idea." So they'll come at us with something else, but they did take it away. So that was good.
That's good. And I remember what I was impressed about you saying is that there was a town hall meeting about it, and there was like 1,000 people there.
Yeah,
people came out of the hills and.
Yeah, they came from the hills, literally. That's one thing. The community here is a lot older. Like when I go to Walmart or Fred Meyer's or even Minto, or they have Safeway up here. Safeway's expensive compared to the other. It's the same prices down there, but there's cheaper grocery stores. Everybody's pretty old. Mm-hmm. I went and played. This is funny. I went and played bunco the other day, and I felt young. I hadn't played in 15 years, but man, the people there were quite a bit older. It was kind of interesting.
But I'll bet young at heart.
Have I mentioned Boatnik?
No.
Boatnik is a big thing Memorial Day weekend. If anybody wants to come up, it's a good time to come up. They do boat races. There's a carnival down. There's 2 bridges that go across the Rogue River, and they do a ton of booths. They do. There's 2 concerts, a country western concert and it seems like heavy metal kind of concert. And it's Friday to Monday, might even start Thursday, but they do boat races. And we're thinking about one of the days when the boat races are going on, we could just sit out on our patio out here by the river and just watch them go by our house.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So, yeah, if you look up Boatnik, BOATNIK.com, that's what's going to be going on here Memorial Day weekend. So that I know it's hard. Everybody's all excited about it, and I don't know what to do because I've never experienced it. So.
Well, it sounds like a fun. Go ahead.
No, do we have a party? What do we do? Do we do a barbecue? I don't know.
Well, it sounds like a great community event. How long has it been going on?
Years and years. my girlfriend yesterday was telling me, like, we were driving around. I still obviously am seeing places I had no idea was there. But she's like, this is where you park, this is where you go. And I'm thinking, well, maybe we take our e-bikes down there and ride them around. I think that would be the easiest. E-bikes are not a thing here.
Really?
Yeah, nothing like there.
Wow. It's a...
Well, probably because people can't afford them.
Well, there's that. But I think people ride e-bikes here mostly because it's quicker to get around than sitting in a car in traffic.
Right.
But kids, a lot of kids, I'm talking with more and more people that are really alarmed by how many young kids are on them with maybe two others, no helmets, and they're going 35 miles an hour and don't stop at stop signs. And
yeah, very dangerous. They don't have that up here.
Yeah, wow. But they have boatniks.
So yeah, boatnik is coming up, so that should be an interesting. I'll have to report on that next time.
Yes.
I'm picturing what's going on, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
We're about 4 miles out of town, and the boat. This river is 250 something miles long.
Wow.
From this reservoir all the way to the ocean, and I guess they go flying by. I don't know.
Wow.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. And how is the river level? It must be moderately high if they're going to have a bunch of boats on it.
Well, it's just normal now. This is when we moved here in September. It's at that level again, but it was up a good 17 feet during the winter rains.
Uh-huh.
It was very interesting to watch. But I was kind of following one of the Hellgate boats, not following it, but we were side by side we live on, it's called Lower River Road, and it's parallel with the river, and I was kind of going with it the other day, and when the rocks are showing, it must be some kind of boat that just skims over the water.
Uh-huh.
But it goes real slow in the rocks, and then it speeds up. It's kind of a fast-paced race. They can do U-turns in the river. It's a pretty wide river. Yeah, it's interesting.
Wow. What
I've never
fun.
lived on water before.
You've gone to a whole new way of life, and it sounds like it really agrees with you and Mark.
Yes, we love it. And I have there's quite a few good friends, which is nice. One gal I've known since kindergarten, so that's helped. Yes, and bring Carmen up here. I want you guys to come up here and see this.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. Is there anything you regret doing that you, looking back, you would have done differently other than doing it sooner?
Maybe getting rid of more of our stuff, but nope, love it. I think life is you do what you need to do when you need to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
so you and Carmen come see me.
We shall do it. I have not seen her or talked with her in a bit, but I've been a bit snowed with grand jury things. And, Kris, this downtown Santa Cruz plan to have, they capped it at 8 stories, but the developer can, if they choose, go with a state program that would allow them to double, maybe even triple that height in downtown Santa Cruz. And
I'm so glad I left.
And then Highway 1 is, for anybody in the listening audience, we all know what that's like. They're beginning the construction of the highway widening between 41st and State Park Drive. So that's another thing. And, it's just...
Don't miss it. I don't miss it.
All right. We've got about 30 seconds. What's your words of wisdom for those who are contemplating moving out of California, Kris?
Well, do it before you're too old, because it definitely takes a lot of energy. But I don't know, if you're thinking about doing it, I say go for it. I don't know. Anybody can contact me and ask me. I love it up here.
All right. You want to give your email?
That's all I can say. Pardon?
Do you want to give your email out if people want to contact you?
Yeah, it's kakirby831@gmail.com.
Excellent.
Yeah, I still have that same email. But
Excellent.
Thank you. It's so good to talk with you. Hello, everybody.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Kris Kirby, relocated up to Grants Pass, Oregon, and loving it. Stay tuned for next
Thank
week.
you, Becky. Bye.
Bye.